Before we let you go, Melissa, since you did bring up Deion, we were looking at the TV ratings. We always do a series and go through everything, comb it, set it up. And obviously, people watch Colorado football. They accounted for the 10 highest rated games in the conference.
Wow.
Is he good for the conference? He's sticking around, if nothing else. This is now a third season, maybe longer than most people thought he would, even with his sons moving on. Do you think he's good for Big 12 football?
Yeah, I've actually really come around on this. I was kind of annoyed at first, and probably because TCU lost that opening game, and it just gave me a bad taste in my mouth. And because I've been to Big 12 media days both the years that he's attended, and he is pompous, and he's not good to the media unless you're good to him. And his son was throwing his offensive line under the bus, and for all of those reasons, I'm like, this will never work. But at the end of the day, like I said earlier, the Big 12 does not have a school to hang its hat on. There is not a school that people tune into just because of the name. Texas is one of those schools. Texas was bad in the Big 12 for every year but their last. Like for the last 15 years, I mean, TCU dominated Texas when both teams were in the conference together. They were irrelevant on the national stage, but everybody watched Texas. Oklahoma was really good. So everybody watched Oklahoma, but now Oklahoma's not so good, and nobody's like, you have to have that cachet, right? And so Deion, for as long as he's here, everybody's going to watch Deion, and they would watch him if he were at Colorado, they'd watch him if he were at TCU, they'd watch him if he were at Alabama, right? He's Deion Sanders, and so I think. I think that Arizona State really acquitted itself nicely against Texas in that playoff game and played a heck of a ball game and still didn't get any national respect. As much as people like Cam Scatabo, it's not like he was not must watch TV. He was must watch highlights. And so if you have a figure like that can be a spotlight, and Deion does seem to genuinely care about Colorado. He seems to be bought into college football, and he cares about the conference. He has brought a lot of and because they were good good enough last year, he brought a lot of positive spotlight to the league. And so I'm of the belief that in this era of more realignment, and we're heading towards a two superpowers and potentially like a 64 team haves and haves nots kind of conference, I want as many people to watch TCU as possible. And if that means that cheering on Deion Sanders to be a longtime part of this conference, I'm all for it. He's going to come to Fort Worth again this fall. I want all eyes on that game, because if TCU plays well and draws numbers, it helps their long-term future. And as a TCU alum, a TCU fan, and someone that covers the team, what I care about is not just 2025, but 2030 and beyond, when things start to change again.
Nice. Melissa Triebwasser, Frogs Insiders, the podcast, and you can catch her with that podcast right on Dave Campbell's college football, Dave Campbell's Texas football. But of course, Melissa, she's watching basketball these days, but of course, spring football is right around the corner too. Both of
and
them.
that'll be coming in a couple of weeks, and they've already said we'll have some open practices. We'll see if we have a spring game. That seems to be a little bit not a thing people do anymore, but they'll have us out at practice. We've had, and I will say, I want to also, let's just shout this out, because I was at the Big 12 tournament for the women last week, and I was talking to lots of beat reporters. They were all saying how they're getting zero access to football players and coaches this time of year. Sonny Dykes and TCU have had media availability pretty much every week since we got back after Christmas. And so that is something I really appreciate. I will have lots to talk to you guys about, because Sonny Dykes and TCU open up the doors and make players available to us pretty much every single week. And I think that's awesome.
That is awesome. Yeah. And my dealings with Sonny Dykes, which has only been a few times, but that I got a chance to interview him. He was nice enough to come on here a few times when he was at Cal. And elsewhere with American Conference Media Days when I was there a few times. Yeah, really good guy.
He's great. Yeah. I want him to be successful, because I really do like the guy, and I want, I want TCU to win, but I think he does things. He really does make it easy for us to do our job, and I appreciate that about him.
Well, thank you, Melissa. Good to see you, and have a great run throughout March Madness.
All right, will do. I'll talk to you soon.